of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Jenna, could we have roll call, please?
Trustee Rhodey?
Here.
Trustee Belt? Here. Trustee Krasovich?
Here.
Trustee Kreiser?
Here.
Trustee Grabowski?
Here.
President Knutson?
Here. Tonight, we have on item 2 is a public hearing on resolution 2025-04 to amend and confirm the previous levying of assessments against benefited property for the installation of curb and gutter Orchard Avenue reconstruction project. I hereby open up the hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to make a comment as it relates to that particular item?
There were several comments about the way the construction of that job was done, for sure.
Sir, could you identify yourself and come to the microphone so we can get you on the, okay.
My name is Dennis Anders. I live at 150 Lake Street.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, my property was affected by putting in a handicap access. You dug a hole, put in a handicap ramp, and now it fills with water every time it rains and or snows. The whole job out there looks like a toilet, and I'm at the head of the toilet right now. There's no proper fill done along the curb and gutter. The curb and gutter has a swale in it. Both corners of Orchard and Lake were hit with handicap access when there already was a handicap access put in there in 2014. Now you're going to tear up all these properties, put in thousands of dollars into 3 corners that nobody ever uses. That's ridiculous. And yet we hook up to an old sanitary sewer that nobody scoped out or ran it over to the public storm sewer in the street. That's just bizarre, not to connect that to a public street instead of running it between properties. I don't know who designed this or whatever, but it's the worst design I've ever seen. I would like to know who was accountable for designing this. I'd like to know how much money was spent on just those 3 corners. That is so ridiculous. I am not going to take care of that handicap during the winter because it's nothing but an ice skating rink every day. You don't dig a hole and make it into a handicap access. That's not the way you do it. And you don't put a handicap access with a curb higher than it, like it is on the southwest corner of that property. That's ridiculous. If we can't hire proper people to do the right job down there and get with the property owners that live there and come up with a decent thing, there's something wrong here. No one ever even notified me that you're tearing up my front yard. It's the 4th time in 10 years you've tore up my front yard. That is utterly ridiculous. And now, after the construction is all done, our village engineer, I believe, comes through all the properties on the north side of the street and starts digging up holes looking for property stakes. Don't you find property stakes before you do a construction job? And the other thing is why aren't the village vehicles marked with village logos? He comes in there, starts digging, and nobody knows who he is. He's got a black SUV with no lettering on it. Every vehicle in his village should have a logo on it if it's village property. I mean, I'm getting so tired. I believe that this board is being run by privilege and corruption than it is being run by ethics.
Decorum, please, sir.
It's so bad. It is so bad.
So you're entitled to your opinion, but when you stray into making personal attacks against members of the board, that's not going to be accepted.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so
and I
please-
regret that, except for the fact I've been into this village hall numbers of times with a complaint, and it's not gone anyplace.
I understand your concern. This is about a special assessment to pay for this project. I understand you have concerns about the project and about work that's already been done. So I would encourage you to have a conversation with the village engineer. He's seated right over there. You can make arrangements to speak with him and probably meet at your property and talk about what your concerns are, and that probably would be the best way to try and address
I've
it.
tried to do this in many different ways.
I'm trying to give you a way that you can address your concerns in a way that might be constructive. So, take that for whatever it's worth.
Okay, I also went to the village administrator with some problems there, and nothing has come out of this, ever. I don't know where to go anymore. I just don't know where to go anymore. I mean, I've lived in this village for over 44 years, and this is totally ridiculous.
Understand your concerns.
Okay, I would like to speak speak?
Ma'am, would you please come up to the microphone and introduce yourself as well?
My name is Vicki Chilson. I live at 243 Orchard. Are you Mr. Buckel? Yes. Yeah, so I retired about a year ago, so someone's digging in my front yard. There was a guy out there, no work clothes on, with just a normal car, like he said, and I went out there because he was really close to my gas line, because I know where it was about a foot away from my gas line. He was looking for the property stakes, and then he explained to me what he was doing. But it would be nice to be notified before someone's coming into your yard, because I live alone with my dog, and so that happened. And then a couple days later, there was two other guys, and I'm not sure what company it was, maybe Smith, that was in my yard too, measuring the property between me and Bob next door, O'Neill. And I was never notified about that either, but they did dig up all my stakes. I'm happy to know where my property lines are now, but it would be nice to get a heads up on that.
Should.
I didn't really appreciate, and especially how close it was. And the thing about the corners with the ADA, my problem here is next to him, Rosie, she's got 3 little kids, and like where it does go down here, she said it does get really icy, and that's where the kids get picked up from school, and they gotta be really careful there. But how that was designed, which I've never seen anything like that, and I've never came to this meeting, I've never came to any meetings in Pewaukee, but I have been a village resident for 24 years, and this property, 7 years. So where that comes across like that, my point is how can that even be accessed by someone with disabilities? Because there is no crosswalk, there's no signs that say no parking, because people are gonna park there. In the summer, it's crazy down that whole Lake Street, and sometimes my road too, with boats and trailers and trucks, you know, and stuff. So people are gonna park there. So if you do have a handicapped person coming in here in the summer visiting, they won't be able to access that because they're gonna park there. I mean, to me, that is a totally useless thing. And how they designed the corner by Lauren Jesus' house, that was pretty goofy too. I think they should have just went straight and went up into the alley up there. But that was my only concern about that. And then I guess what I'd like to know about paying for this, and I can't believe I'm the only one here tonight from my road, is are they gonna fix the grass and level the dirt off, or are they totally done?
Well, that's a conversation that you should probably have with Mr. Biko, okay? Because that's
we're here to-
restoration after the project is completed, and that would be, you know, something that he probably would have some information about. I don't know if that restoration's done or yet or not.
Well, last fall, they did come and put some dirt in and sprayed, and it was very late in the fall, like the end of November maybe, and nothing, no grass grew. So I just wanna know, am I gonna have to fix this myself, or is someone gonna come here and fix it? Or are they gonna redo everyone's yards, because it's kind of a mess?
Okay, so I don't know the answer to that. I think, again, if we speak to him, he could probably give you more information about that.
So since the paperwork wasn't sent out in time, and why did that happen?
What paperwork?
Or the payment for this, it was supposed to be on last year's taxes.
Because I think you now have the numbers, I'm assuming, for that they're now amending this to provide for. Is that right, Mr. Administrator?
Actually, it was just staff. We got caught in a transition of our treasurer, and that it didn't get on the tax rolls.
Okay, so when this bill does come due, I didn't know it was gonna be, it really never said how you were gonna pay for it, and I don't know how it works. So that $500 or whatever you owe will go on your tax bill? Or can you pay that?
I believe the process is we send out an invoice, and then you have a certain time limit to pay, and then if you don't pay by a certain date, it gets put on your tax rolls, on your taxes.
Okay, because it didn't really ever clarify anywhere how you pay for this. So I didn't know how that worked either. Because from what this said, I thought it kind of made it sound like it was going to go on your tax bill.
Yeah, I think if it goes unpaid, the purpose of that notice is that's the end result as it goes on your tax bill.
Yeah, I also believe we were going to send that out after this was passed with that. So the invoice was going to be sent out with the new resolution.
Okay, so this new resolution, we have really nothing to say. You guys are just gonna all pass it, right?
The point of that, this resolution is on the agenda tonight for approval by this board. So
Okay.
hey, if you have concerns about it, that's, this is your opportunity to speak about that. But
I
if you do
guess-
look at the resolution that's in the packet, it provides for payment in one cash sum or in 5 equal installments to the village treasurer with an interest rate of 3% if you decide to do it on an installment basis. And the first annual
I'm not
installment will
worried
appear
about the
on
money part.
the tax
I'm
roll.
more worried if they're gonna fix that.
I understand the
correctly.
restoration issue, and like I said,
The money doesn't matter to me. I can pay it whenever you send me the invoice.
sure.
But it's just, I guess, there was a lot of unhappy people down there, and I didn't come to any of the other meetings, and I probably should have. But just kind of how it was done down there wasn't real good.
Okay.
So that's something you guys should, before you send out all the bills to me, it should be kind of taken care of first.
Understood.
Otherwise, I might fix it myself, because I don't like to see it like that.
Okay.
Understand.
All right.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to make a comment? Thank you for your comments, and please follow up on it, okay?
Well, I don't know who I would follow up on it with.
Okay, I think I just indicated to you that as to the restoration issue, you can speak to Mr. Beagle. If you have an issue about the payments or the billing process, Mr. Heiser or the village clerk treasurer could help you with that.
Yeah, I did try actually calling him a couple times, and I never got through when this was started,
Sure.
or during it, and,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you again for your comments. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Item 3, approval of the March 18th Village Board meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look them over? Is there any questions, comments, or corrections as to the way they are presented this evening? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 18th, 2025 regular village board meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, minutes are hereby adopted. Citizen comments, this is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, with time being indicated by an audible alarm. When the alarm sounds, speakers are asked to conclude their comments. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address. For the record, is there anybody here that wants to speak about anything else? Okay, well, then we're gonna move on to ordinances, which we have none. Item 6, resolutions. Review, discussion, and possible action on Resolution 2025-04 to amend and confirm the previous levying of assessments against benefited property for the installation of curb and gutter Orchard Avenue reconstruction project. Matt, would you like to start this?
Thank you, President Knudsen. So this is pretty much an updated version of the resolution that the board approved last fall. And it's following the village ordinances to assess for the $500 for work. And it should have been on the 2024 tax bills and wasn't because of the transition in staff. And so when that was discovered, we researched with Attorney Grolinski what was the right process, and we're kind of redoing that whole assessment process here.
Any questions or comments from the board?
If I could just make a quick comment, I don't think people realize how generous this
policy is with the village and its residents. If you were in the city of Pewaukee, you'd have to pay the full brunt of the improvements instead of a $500 cap. In '82, when I built on when East Wisconsin Avenue was redone, at that time, it was the full amount of the assessment that you had to pay for. So this $500 cap is very generous because the rest of the residents are also subsidizing that. But I don't think people realize that.
That's an excellent point.
And just to revisit, these are ADA requirements that we're following, I imagine, with the installation of these ramps?
I wanted to,
Campground, yes.
ADA requirements.
Title II of the ADA requires that
Federal law.
public improvements would be compliant with those standards. So.
Thank you, appreciate that.
so as a closing comment, I'll make sure, I'll follow up with staff after the meeting, that we look into the quality concerns.
Is there any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-04.
Second, Grabowski.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 2025-04 is hereby adopted. Item B, review, discussion, and possible action on Resolution 2025-05 to acknowledge the 2024 WPDES Storm Water Discharge Permit and Annual Report. As you know, this is an annual report. We see this every year. It's pretty much the same. I don't believe there's been any changes. Are there any questions from the board or comments as it relates to this? If there are none, then would somebody like to make a motion?
Motion to acknowledge the 2024 WPDES Stormwater Discharge Permit and Report.
Second, Rody.
Okay, we have
And
a,
that's the approval of the resolution 2025-05, correct?
Correct.
Thanks.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 2025-05 is hereby adopted. Item 7, under old business, we have none. Item 8, new business. Review, discussion, and possible action on right-of-way permit for Beach House Bistro, 161 Wisconsin Avenue, IJ for street dining. Again, we've gone through these before. Are there any questions, comments, or questions that you may have for Matt or anybody?
Yeah, one
Yes.
point. I thought we had discussed that these were be able to be handled at staff level and not required to come back in front of the village board every year. Because he had this approved previously.
So, yeah, so this one was a little confusing. I know that Scott used to do these. He actually hadn't had his conditional use grant recorded yet. So this wasn't.
Okay, so we're tying up some loose ends on this one.
Yes,
Got it.
we're
Okay,
doing some loose
we're
ends,
just gonna
so-
reset, redo.
Yes.
Okay.
So I
motion-
wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that it happened.
All right, motion to approve possible action on the right-of-way permit for Beach House Bistro.
And, sorry, can I, for clarity, so in the future, if they have already had the permit in the past, they can.
Then they don't need to come back.
Got
It's
it.
just, this was new last year, so it just didn't, again, with the transition with
Sure.
Scott. Yeah. We're just tying it up.
Yep. I'll second your motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on proposed summer schedule for the Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club. Again, this is something that happens every year. It's very well attended. Are there any questions, comments as the way they are presented this evening?
I was just more curious, I guess, what are we actually approving? Because do they get a permit from the DNR to be out there, or are we just approving the use of Lakefront Park? This is just for my own knowledge base
park.
to understand
Park
what we're
use.
actually approving for the, okay.
Because it's park rental and special like event.
I assumed
Yeah.
that, but do they get a permit from the DNR to block off?
No,
I don't have a problem with it, I'm just
because
asking.
it's technically not blocked off. They ask you to like respect it, but if you drove through it, you can't get a ticket or anything like
Yeah,
that.
but they yell at you if you do.
I yell at people
I mean,
walking downtown
So,
also, but that
I
doesn't
did-
stop them.
I was just I'm curious on the process and what it was, so that's all. Obviously, I don't have an issue with it, but
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 proposed schedule.
Second, Krasovich.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review discussion of an update on the Quiet Zone project. I asked staff to put this on. It's kind of late, but there was a lot of interesting developments. And Matt, do you want to go for this?
Yes, President Knudsen, thank you. So R.A. Smith had been contracted by the village to do a study and to lead the village through the Quiet Zone process. And in late February, they completed their study, and the report is in the packet. Kind of a summary of their findings. The good news is that the median as it exists on Oakton, at the crossing in Oakton, appears to comply with the Federal Railway requirements for the Quiet Zone. So it looks like for the Quiet Zone project, the village will not need to extend that median at all. Village engineer Tim Brabo reminds us, though, that Wisconsin DOT might wish to extend it for their own safety concerns. So that issue isn't completely put to bed, but for the Quiet Zone, it should be okay. The not as good news is that on two of the crossings at Wisconsin and Kopmeyer, there's kind of the lower tech train detection systems. They're just motion detectors. And the current standard is to use something called constant warning time. And what they tell me is the difference is the constant warning time has the ability to gauge the speed of the railroad and change the time that the warning system is triggered based on that speed. If it was just the motion detector and the train was moving slow, the gates would come down and traffic would stop for a long time. Whereas with the constant warning time system, that doesn't happen. The guidance put out by the Federal Railway Agency says that implementation of a constant warning system is required if practical, and that's the language that's in there. And R.A. Smith does not know what the meaning of if practical means.
No one does.
neither does the person that wrote it.
Right, so
Sounds like a gray area.
that bears specific conversation with the Federal Railway Association, whether it'll be required or not. If those things are required, the railway would probably be the ones doing the installing, but the village would probably be the ones doing the paying, and those would probably be pricey. Just doing some internet research, the railways don't split out the warning system from the other safety features of a crossing, like the gates and the lights, but all of the equipment together is between $100,000 and $400,000 per crossing. So we know that the gates and the lights are already there, but we don't know specifically how much the detection system might cost. So that still needs to be determined. In terms of the entire process, that doesn't hold us up. Tim is right now scheduling the diagnostic meeting, so they invite all the stakeholders to come in and have the discussion and review the situation. So that's in progress right now.
And does he have a timeline that he anticipates having that completed? And is that the last step prior to submitting?
He did not mention a timeline for that, and that is not the last step. There are some public notices that each have like 60-day waiting periods where people can come in and make comment. So that's all in front of us still.
Okay, because I don't know about everyone else, but I still get the general question endlessly of when are we getting the quiet zone? It'd be nice to have at least some,
Timeframe.
yeah, Q2, we're trying to hit this, Q2 of 2025, we have to have a meeting with the stakeholders. Then Q3, we'll have the first round of public comments, and hopefully by Q4, we'll be submitting. To have some sort of timeline put together would be great, but.
Staff will pursue that with the engineer. And staff will also update the document on the website, just so that it's transparent for the public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Knudsen, just as an update, so while the medians, I know we're pointing out in the engineering report, do not need to be extended, obviously, we still have temporary, I don't know what we want to even call them, they're not bollards, whatever. We are exploring, Dave is going to have it added as a line item, as a potential adder for the reconstruction process of that portion of capital, to see if we could work in the extension of those medians into the project, being that we're going to have other concrete work being done at the same time out there, because it would still be my wish, because obviously if we remove the plastic ones, we're going to go back to just people turning left anyways, to have some deterrent there, and I'd much rather have finished concrete work there that matches everything else than the plastic ones that are now starting to get detached. But we'll know more this year when bids come back in.
Are there any other questions or comments? So we're looking at coming back, Matt, when do you think, with more information?
I'm sorry, President Knudsen?
After Tim's kind of sets a timeline for his
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you for the update and everything. Item D, monthly approval of checks and invoices for all funds, February 2025. I will look for a motion to approve all funds except for the library for February 2025 as presented.
Go ahead, Chris.
Come on, he took the other one right on the chin. I'll make a motion to approve checks and invoices for all except the library for February 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Next one is, I'd like a motion to acknowledge the library funds for February 2025.
What are you guys going to do in 2 weeks? I don't know. I'll make a motion to acknowledge the library funds for February 2025.
Second, Grabowski.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. There are no people, public people here today, citizens, so we're gonna move right past that. Closed session. The Village Board of Village of Pewaukee entered a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Section 18 of odd and G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who's rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, specifically regarding Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, Inc. versus the Village of Pewaukee, case 22 CV 000515. I'll look for a motion to approve to move into closed session.
Motion by Rhodey.
Second, Kreiser.
Roll call vote, please, Jenna.
Trustee Rhodey?
Yes.
Trustee Belt?
Yes.
Trustee Krasovich?
Yes.
Trustee Kreiser? Yes. Trustee Grabowski?
Yes.
President Knudsen?
Yes, we are hereby in closed session. Mark, you want to give a Open session.
And we're back.
Okay, we are now in open session. Chris?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn
For the final time.
for the final time.
Yeah, you are hereby adjourned. Oh, wait, all in favor, say aye.
Second for
There's
you.
a second either, okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you all. It's been my pleasure to serve alongside each of you,
Thank you, Chris.
except you, Kristen.